Hey gang, Ronan here. As you can see in this game, I'm playing the U.S. Navy destroyer Halford. Now this is a brand new release that I was fortunate enough to pull out of a holiday crate using festive tokens. It is now, well, as of making this video, it's the 8th of January, so it was a few days back that I pulled this ship out of a crate. And this is one of the early games that I played in the ship. I'm going to give myself a little more volume here. And I think it's fun. You know, initially I was playing it a little bit, I think a little bit too much like the Fletcher, which is the ship that this is kind of based on. And then I realized, you know, there's another ship that I play that I really like that this actually has some similarities to. And of course, that ship is the Trump, which I really enjoy playing. So I did struggle with this ship initially, and you'll see some examples in this game of my struggle. But although I haven't played a lot of games with it, I think I've played, I don't know, maybe 5 games. I think I managed to win the last 3 that I played in it. So, you know, I started to do a little bit better with it. And this was either the second to last or the middle game that I played, where I was starting to kind of figure out how I could make use of this ship. Now, in this game, very, very slow start, which is going to give me an opportunity to tell you a little bit about the ship. The CV is going to come back here, and he's going to drop some fighters back behind. All of these guys that you see right now that are like at my 12 o'clock and we'll call it 4 o'clock, they're all going to try and get right behind these islands. So the CV, very, at least to me, smartly flies around them, gets behind them, and drops fighters, which are going to last a little while to provide vision for his team. And at this point, I really hadn't had an opportunity to see what the AA will do in the ship. And you can see at the bottom of your screen there that this ship does have defensive fire for AA, and I wanted to see what it would do. This seemed a good opportunity to use that because as long as those fighters stayed back there, my team was going to continue to take a pummeling, and I thought, well, you know what, I'm going to try and kill 2 birds with 1 stone. I'm going to see whether or not the AA can actually be effective. And
crews are on full alert.
I want to see if excuse me just 1 sec. And I want to see if I can avoid getting blapped in the early going. You can see that there's a Salem pushing up there. He's at, we'll call it Echo 2, right at the line of Echo 2, Echo 3, somewhere in that ballpark. And I know that if I had gotten radared, I would be facing off against the Sherman and Salem and a whole bunch of other things up there. And I really didn't want to get blapped in the first few minutes. I wanted to try and stay alive long enough to do a little bit of something for my team. But you will see
Anti-aircraft gun crews are on
the
normal
Des Moines
alert.
player on this side, he was a little bit upset with me for not charging into the cap, which I think would have been idiotic, honestly, given that there was a Sherman there and a Salem. But he was, I'm sure, convinced that I didn't know what I was doing. Now, to be fair, I have to say, you know, with the team that I've had lately, and you probably too, he had every right to suspect that I was a clueless, helmet-wearing crayon eater. So I finish killing these aircraft, getting these aircraft shot down, spin around, and then decide, okay, now I got to get into the game. Now, while all this has been going on, you can see my team starting to shoot at me. I'm pretty sure that was the Des Moines. So I've explained to you why he was irritated. Of course, he was sunk long before me, and I ended up doing pretty well in this game as I was beginning to get getting the hang of this ship. So I'm going to read for you the brief description of the Halford from the World of Warships Wiki, just to give you some idea of the history. USS Halford, a Fletcher-class destroyer, received a catapult for a float plane in place of her aft torpedo mount and one of her main guns, allowing the ship to launch a Kingfisher scout observation plane. The catapult turned out not to be operationally suitable for the intended purpose and was ultimately removed from Halford in October 1943. In 1944, the ship provided fire cover for amphibious operations on the Solomon Islands, New Guinea, and the Philippines. She took part in battles in the Philippine Sea and Leyte Gulf. During the course of World War II, Halford was awarded 13 battle stars. Now, I have my ship headed for the cap. but the aircraft can provide vision. So I wanted to see a couple things. One, I wanted to see how the red ship's AA would do against these aircraft, whether or not I might get more than one pass at something before they were all shut down. I'm sure you can understand, still trying to figure out the ship. But I am also, at the same time, trying to provide vision for my team. Now, I noticed that the CV on our team, he's got bombers right behind me. So I've just gone ahead and flown right over the Sherman. And I'm going to see if I can start a fire on Iwami, because our CV now has the Sherman lit, and I have to hope that the team is beginning to do something to that ship. All right, so one rocket hit for 1,782 damage. Definitely nothing to write home about. The red team, well, they've lost their Salem, so we now have 10 ships to their 9. Not a bad start for the team, but it's far from over. Our Holland secured the Charlie cap, but it remains to be seen how long they're going to be able to keep it, because you've got Izumo and Loria out there on the other side that are playing pretty far back, and the red team seems to have pushed up. Now, I think at this point, Annapolis has probably lit up the Sherman for me, and I decide, I'm going to set the rockets automatic, which they didn't do anything, and just get the guns working. Still trying to get a feel for it, and it has been a while since I played the Fletcher consistently. A long while. I'm able to land one shell, and the Annapolis finishes him off. So at this point, 6.5 minutes more or less in, I've shot down 8 red aircraft, spotted somebody, landed one rocket and one shell from my guns. That is really not a very good start. In fact, it's pathetic. But
Anti-aircraft gun crews
again,
are on full
still
alert.
learning the ship.
Smoke
I'm
generator
still in the
started.
game, haven't taken any damage. And I'm going to go ahead and smoke for our Annapolis and hope that he'll take advantage of that, because from here, he should be able to get shells on some of these guys, at least for a short while. And since I'm kind of crossing still north, he can move up into the smoke and try and stay a little closer. And we'll see. We'll see whether or not anybody's able to make use of the smoke. But if nothing else, Annapolis is able to push up a little closer. I broke line of sight.
Smoke
And maybe he
screen
was
set.
using this smoke. I don't know. But if aircraft come, he still has my smoke to hide in. Now, having said all
Anti-aircraft
of
gun
that, let me
crews
tell
are on
you
normal alert.
the particulars of the ship. The guns, of course, are 127s, as you might expect from a Tier 9 USDD. You've only got 4 of them. The firing angle's not bad, really, considering that you've got 4 turrets. But not great. Reload time base is 3.3 seconds, and I'm going to try and get a strike on the Iwami here. It's already burning, see if I can get another fire or 2 started. The 180-degree turn time on these turrets is 5.29 seconds, with a firing range base of 10.2 kilometers. Now, the reticule really doesn't line up exactly the same way it did in the game, just like with the CVs, but you can see there I was able to start a fire, and I just have to hope that it'll continue to burn, and there was some of that in this game. Now, I'm really just trying to distract the CV right now. If he starts taking damage, he's got to look around and see what's happening. And I'm just trying to shoot down some more aircraft. Did manage to light a fire, of course. CVs don't actually burn, not since the CV rework, right? Okay, that's a whole another 10 video series on all the ways that I think Wargaming dropped the ball with the CV rework, which we've all heard that it's done to death. So max HE shell damage 1800 with a 5% base fire chance. Initial shell velocity 792 meters per second. AP shells can do up to 2100 HP. Same 792 meters per second initial shell velocity. And as is the case with U.S. destroyers kind of across the board, more or less, these shells are super floaty. So by the time they get halfway to the target, they've slowed way down, and they're great for firing over the edges of islands. But if you're trying to hit a small or even a medium-sized target that's maneuverable at anything other than close range, you're probably going to struggle. I know I certainly did. Now, the blue line indicates on the minimap, the blue circle around my ship indicates the torpedo range, which is 13.5 kilometers, but you've only got the one rack of 5 torpedoes.
Anti-aircraft gun crews are on full
CV
alert.
has lit me up again. See if I can't shoot some things down and hope that the Yodo doesn't decide to pick on me. I won't have smoke again for another 10 seconds. See if I can shoot down some more aircraft here. No, Yodo is going to try and keep our Montana from capping the Bravo cap. You can see Kitakaza is crossing from C now. Our Montana is, well, I applaud him trying, but he's in a really bad spot there. Now, what am I going to do? Well, we'll see. Probably not much, but I have shot down 19 aircraft, so I know that it's possible. Is it going to prevent a strike? No, probably not. But I can help by doing that. There may be cases in a game where, with this defensive fire AA, I could help a larger ship or a teammate. And I managed to start one more fire. Now, what am I doing now? Well, I'm trying to keep the Bourgogne from sinking our Sejong and taking the Alpha cap again. Our Laureate takes out their Ohio, but this is looking really grim for our team. We're down to 5 ships. Bad guys still have 7. Now, why did I immediately become detected? Well, because the detection radius on these aircraft is 10 kilometers. So if anything's within 10 kilometers of you when you fire or launch them, you're immediately spotted. And you can see that the red CV is flying right over the top of me. And I can't really worry about that right now. I've got to try and make use of these aircraft. And that's becoming increasingly challenging. So I just say, you know what? I've got to reposition here. I've got to be able to maneuver.
Problem solved, sir.
And that's probably going to happen occasionally, where your target or opportunities for targets just kind of vanish into thin air. Now, why did I throw the torpedoes there? Because I'm hoping to catch the Kitakaza. Now, we actually have a points lead on based on the fact that we've secured the caps relatively early. I'm about to get detected, but I'm going to get behind this island here. And we'll see if I can shoot down some more aircraft.
Anti-aircraft gun crews are on full alert.
Ouch. Ouch. And just like that, it's 5 ships to 5 ships. We have a pretty strong points lead. And I managed to avoid the shot from Annapolis. That definitely would have hurt. So I'm not going to get a chance to push to Bravo. I really have to count on my teammates to finish off the Yodo. I'm happy to engage with Kitakaza as long as I can kite.
Anti-aircraft gun
The big
crews are
threat,
on
as far as I'm
normal alert.
concerned, is the Annapolis. So I'm going to see what I can do there. And unfortunately, I still have Iwami to contend with. He's a much bigger target, easier for me to set on fire, so that's what I'm going to go for. You can see he doesn't really want any part of this. There's another fire. Now he probably will push this way. I have to hope that myself and Sejong can finish him off. Still 5 ships to 5 ships. We still have a lead. That lead is really dwindling. And I'm going to throw the torpedoes out there in the event that the Annapolis does come through that gap and come this way, while watching my distance to him so that I don't get myself radared and blapped. Now he's trying to stay angled, I think, to the Montana. If he shows side to the Montana, he's liable to take some pretty big damage. You can see Iwami is coming back this way. And I've got almost a minute till my torpedoes are back up. Yodo torpedoes our Sejong. That's really bad for our team. We're down to 4 ships, and our lead just continues to evaporate. I thought I might catch the Annapolis there, but nope. So I really have to count on Montana, and I know he's doing his best. Now on the far side of the map, you can see our Lauria. He's pushing into the Charlie Cap now, and the red CV is harassing him. I have to avoid getting radared, so I have to keep my distance. And the best I can do is help sink Annapolis or try to push the Iwami back from where it is now. And Montana finishes off Annapolis. No point for me to waste any more time there. Get these torpedoes in the water and hope Iwami does not make a big turn. Usually right after I launch, yep, there it is. There's the big turn as he heads for this cap.
Battle ends in 5
Well,
minutes.
that's all right. But I'm not going to have an airstrike available for another minute. And it's going to be another 70 seconds or so until I've got torpedoes. So all I could really do here is, if the Midway on our team were to keep him lit, put guns on him. So I'm trying to get within gun range here. And I really fully expect the Kitakaza to be coming this way. This game is not over. Their Yodo is really beat up. He's got his guns pointed the other direction. So I'm going to go ahead and see if I can get another fire started, so that when my aircraft become ready, I'm in a position to be able to get a fire using those that might burn for a while. Get AP loaded. I'm just slowing down here, trying to juke. Still have 2 smokes I can use. See if I can get another fire started. 6 seconds until my aircraft are back up.
Smoke generator started.
It'll make it a little harder for him to smack me. He's still well within my gun range. You can see he switched to HE, which I'm kind of expecting. He does manage to hit me. Get the torpedoes in the water, follow that up with some aircraft. And I expect the Kitakaza's coming up right behind me.
Smoke screen set.
Approaching target.
And this is eerily familiar to the beginning of the game, where I had this guy more or less the same angle. I'm trying to hit the superstructure here, but I timed it wrong. Hit the ass end of the ship. Nice damage, but really not what I wanted or needed. I am capable and being lucky enough to push him off. I have to try an angle to get between these torpedoes. And he's moved outside my gun range now. I've got 55 seconds until I have aircraft again. And our Lauria shoots him down from essentially across the map. We still have a points lead, but that is dwindling. And Lauria is probably not long for this game. You can see where the radio location indicator is. So it's got to be Kitakaza, right? We know the Roosevelt isn't that close. Now I have to say, I may have just completely mistimed this whole thing. Here's what I wanted to avoid. You know, I've got 7,800 HP. That's maybe 3 good volleys for Kitakaza to completely shred my HP. I would need more time than that to finish him off. I think we can agree on that. So I was hoping I might be able to get him with an airstrike and then get the guns hot and keep him out of this cap. It didn't work out exactly that way, which you will see. Throw these torpedoes out in case he decides to go behind the island. Midway's got fighters coming, and I'm going to see if I can get him with an airstrike. Roosevelt finishes off our Lauria, 2 ships apiece, and they actually have a points lead now. So I really need to sink this guy for us to have any chance at all. Now again, the indicator doesn't really tell you where I was aimed. I do manage to get 3,200 in damage. And I need to turn back around and get the guns going, but then he goes dark. I've got vision again. He's down to 2,600 HP. And here's where I think I missed my opportunity. 50 seconds to go. I let him get in the cap before I started firing. And as long as he's in the cap, we're not getting points. And we really needed those points. So in a way, my lack of starting to open fire sooner may have cost us a game. As you can see how close the score is right now. 30 seconds to go. You know, if I'm being generous to myself, I could say, well, they have 2 caps, we only have 1. Midway still isn't in the Bravo cap. We were probably going to lose anyway. but I still felt a little bit bad that I didn't finish him off sooner.
Torpedoes, direct
Did I
fire.
light the game on fire? No, I definitely didn't, and I hit one here in the side. I'm trying to avoid it. No, I mean I landed a torpedo, some airstrikes. I don't feel like I played badly, and again, this ship is still very new to me, but I think I certainly could have played better. So 99,100 damage, um, 70 shell hits, a torpedo, 21 aircraft shot down, 3 incapacitations, 1 ship destroyed, 5 fires, 1 flood, defense. Assisted in a cap. You can see I placed second on the team behind Montana, who played a great game, and you know, I feel like I'm just going to go back here to that for just a second. I feel like I played, you know, that to me is evidence that I played reasonably well. We had some of our guys that got blapped early, and I don't know whether that's because they're just not very good players, or maybe they're inexperienced, or maybe they just got caught in a bad situation. We've all been there, myself included, on a pretty regular basis. But I feel pretty good about that, having only played the ship a couple times. Now we get to the detailed report. Finished off the Kitakaza, did, I'd say, decent damage to Awami, did some damage to the Roosevelt, Borgonia, and barely any at all to the Sherman. Just taking a look at the details here. 70 shells on target, but only 14,000 damage out of 133 shot. So better than a 50% hit rate, I guess, but the damage is, well, I'd say pretty common for this type of ship. 1 torpedo, decent damage there, shot down significant number of aircraft, 29 rocket hits. Excuse me, that's not how many aircraft I shot down, that's over here. I landed 29 rocket hits for decent damage, and you can see 27,000 in fire and a little bit in flooding. So that's what took my total to 99,100. I did manage to shoot down a fair number of aircraft, but as is usual in this game anymore, mostly it's just going to be the fighters that get dropped. Trying to shoot down the attack aircraft, it's just it's, you're trying to knock aircraft out of the sky with the marshmallow shooters. I mean, 727,000 potential damage. I did a little bit of spotting. 4 fires started on my spotting, and did help with the capture. Overall, I feel pretty fun ship to play, and I think I could do a little bit more with it. The next replay that you see with this ship, I actually did. I think I was even a little bit more effective. Total XP for the match, well, that's using some, I think they were the green buffs, but overall, this is a fun ship. You know, if I were to say, you know, how would I rate this thing, I'd give it 8, maybe 8.5 stars out of 10 for how fun it is to play. But at the same time, I would say that it is a very challenging ship to play well. It's not that, you know, that anybody can point the ship in a direction, anybody can launch the aircraft. Knowing when to use them and how to use them in tandem to start fires and floods, that's the real trick, just like it is with Trump. And that's not everybody's cup of tea. So if you like that type of challenge and you enjoy that kind of play style, I think you'd really enjoy this ship. Thank you very much for joining me. I really appreciate it. If you enjoyed this video, I'd appreciate it if you could like it, maybe leave a comment below. And if you haven't yet, please subscribe. Glad to have you with me, and I'll see you next time.